that time again. It's race week. Yes, it is race week. We're in France. Ha ha, oui. But anyway, listen, there's some things, this is the mixer. We get down, talk about things that have happened leading up to the GP this week. Not a lot of action, but there were, and there is a little shade. We'll get into that. We got some little developments, some upgrades. As you know, I like to try to get the list so we can go over like a more fundamental, more like legitimate list of upgrades the teams have. It's a bit early for that. This is just like early Friday. So if I do another part and I do get those lists of those upgrades, I'll do them later today, or I'll do them early or at some part on Saturday before or after the quality watch. So we'll have that. But let's get into this, all right? Because the first thing we have is we're addressing, I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'll just play the clip and then you let me know what you think. So I'm going to play this clip. Let's cue it on up.
Talk about you guys going extremely well here, and perhaps the team are optimistic. What would be a good showing this weekend for you?
Well, who's hyping us up?
There are podcasts and people talking in the media.
Who did that? Who did that? Who has been hyping us up? Who has been hyping us up? I know you saw the post I put in the community on YouTube, and I put the post where Christian Horner was talking about Mercedes having pace, and Red Bull team thinks that Mercedes should be doing good this week in the GP. I don't know about that. I would like to go ahead and say this. I know in the beginning, especially Mercedes fans, Lewis Hamilton fans, including myself, we were quite optimistic, to say the least, all right? When this whole thing hit the debacle, the new car, the porpoising out of hell, the world's worst dolphin ever in the world, and we said they're going to get it together. And we thought, a lot of us thought by the third race. I said from the beginning 5 or 6, and it really happened around the 5th or 6th round. And then as they crept in, things started progressively getting better. But I would like to say that Lewis Hamilton by far has been pretty accurate with his expectations and with relaying those expectations to us as viewers about where Mercedes truly is with the car. Now, the sandbagging thing went on long enough, and we just figured out this shit is not sandbagging. It's really a problem. And Lewis has been honest. Russell has been honest. Mercedes has been pretty honest about everything. And, I know some people hoped it had not, but it is that. And, so Christian Horner, I guess Lewis is saying, don't hype us up. The lady, I don't know why she just didn't say it. Yeah, Christian Horner said that you all will be doing good. Like, I kind of heard her in her voice, like, podcast, media, like, stop the bull. Stop the bull. The Red Bull, stop it. So let's get into this next topic. Checo made some comments, which seemed that he thought the car was leaving him, being developed away from him. And there is some talk to this, right? There's some talk to see if Red Bull, and I think about it, Verstappen's dad made some comments, especially after Checo claimed his win, that Red Bull had not put Max in the optimal car that was built for him, that was right for him. I mean, there were no complaints at first, but now there's complaining, which I really didn't agree with that. But since then, it has seemed like Checo has been getting further and further away from being in contention of the championship when he was right there on like steps away from the doorstep to now it just seems like it's falling back. He's kind of fading back, definitely starting to fall back into what would seem to be a support role. And I know a lot of Checo fans, I like Perez, and I thought honestly that he would be in there a lot stronger, but it has seemed like it really hasn't been there for him. And with some talks about the car and its development going forward, it just seems like it's not suiting Perez and more like being built for Max solely. My opinion on that is not the case. I at this point in time, do not think Red Bull is building the car strictly for Max. I think I have two things that I think and two things that I would suggest. Or one thing that I think and something that I would suggest. I think that they are developing this car to try to get the most out of it, and their car specifically performs better under certain conditions and tuned a certain way. And I think right now, the way that direction is going, Max is adapting to it better than Perez is adapting to that. And or maybe Perez just does not suit well with the way this car is being developed. I don't think it's so much that the car is being developed specifically for Max, more than it is just more adaptable to Max. It might be Max is more adaptable, period, more than Perez is, possibly, okay? But I would say this. If it is such a thing that Perez likes his car to understeer more than being quickly flicked through the corners, I don't see where there would be a situation where Red Bull cannot tune Perez's car to suit his driving style while still developing the car simultaneously to perform better. I mean, those are settings. That's not like a whole power unit. That's not like a whole like suspension change. Those are like legitimately just settings that can be done to hopefully put the car in better conditions for Perez while we're still developing to get optimal performance out of this car. I think that can be done. I don't think that's far-fetched for them to do. Now, if it is that Red Bull is not doing that, then I would have to question, is it about detuning or not tuning a car to get the best for Perez in the car, and you're really trying to make sure that he stays fit in a secondary support role driver? Then I would have to question that. But until some news comes out about that or developments or findings come out about that, my opinion is, as it stands, not so much about building the car just for Max, more than Max is adapting to the car that they are developing to be optimal performed. That is what I think about that. Let's get to the next team in this mixer. And the next team in this mixer would be none other than Ferrari. Ferrari, boys, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Okay, so has Ferrari taking a risk? And I think Christian Horner said something. I don't even try to paraphrase it and like chop it up and make it horrible. I think it was something along the lines like, I'd rather make a fast car reliable than a slow car fast, or something like that. It was something like that, right? But in Ferrari's case, they have taken the opportunity, because you know these motors, these engines, these power units are going to be locked. So Ferrari has taken an approach to where we're going to make a rocket, and then having a rocket that, although might be slightly unreliable because it's running out of the yin-yang, we can then take the steps to make it reliable without being heavily taxed so much. Yeah, but that hasn't happened to their benefit right now. And it hasn't happened to their benefit because of their drivers. Let's just keep it real. Carlos and Charles both, well, I would say more Carlos has put them in a tough situation because of his wrecking up multiple Ferraris, all right? Both drivers, which you know I'm going to get this list. I will go over that as well, the power units, where everybody is so far, as like how many units, how many exhausts, how many electronic control units, all of that stuff. We'll get into that. But we already talked about this before, where we saw that Charles was already over limits in several of those areas. Carlos was right at the limit. And with this most recent fire, it pretty much, I'm pretty sure, puts him at the limit to where Charles himself and Carlos are both going to be in risk at taking grid penalties. So with Ferrari taking this gamble, not a risk, but a gamble to develop this rocket engine, this rocket power unit, and hopefully in the future making it more reliable than having something that is slow and reliable and then not able to really make it fast in a sense because of the regulations, the drivers have put Ferrari in a pinch, right? But then we come back to the fact that although they knowingly were probably taking this gamble, they put themselves in a pinch. And in so doing that, have they risked their championship contentions? Have they risked that? Because going forward, if anything else is to happen, they're going to be taking grid penalties that are going to set them back, if not 20, 10 spots back. All right? Who knows? But it's not going to be on the front row every time if they're having to change these units. And it's going to put Ferrari in a bind. And I'm wondering if now Ferrari might have taken a gamble without knowing that their drivers initially were going to put them in a situation where they were going to have to replace multiple parts and run over to the point where now we're having to worry about not only the power unit being unreliable through many of our other teams, Haas, Alfa Romeo, and us, but now we have to worry about grid penalties and such. So if you think about it, Ferrari has had about 10 to 11 power unit type failures across all three, Haas, Ferrari, and Alfa Romeo. That's pretty high. We've seen Zhou be retired several times. We've seen Charles fail several times while having the lead in a race, which is securing major championship points, and the car has failed. We just saw Carlos' car is on fire. That's a situation that I'm hoping they get handled pretty fast, okay? Going into the next thing, fines. Fines are going everywhere. Like, people are getting fined obscene amounts of money. 10,000 euro for you, 25,000 euro for you. But we may suspend it, and if you break these rules again, you know what? We're going to bring it down on your head. So recently we had a trifecta of fines happen between three of our most popular drivers on the grid, being right now Lewis, Max, and Charles. And they are being fined for basically handing their physios things before they're getting weighed, okay? And if you see there, it is breaching article, well, no, is it breaching? Yeah, it's breaching article 12.2.1 India, all right? 12.2.1 India is that article. And so that is going to be in the International Sporting Code, which is the ISC, and we will show you what that is. So in the ISC right here, that's the SR, this is it right here. It says failure to follow the instructions of the relevant officials for the safe and orderly conduct of the event is what that is what they're being fined for on that, okay? That is something, you know, I'm not going to call it petty. Rules are rules, right? Rules are rules. But on to other things, we have seen that other fines have gone out as far as radio messages. And that is something else. As a matter of fact, we can take a look at that regulation, which is in the sporting regulations. And they were talking about radio messages. And with that being said, it's 33.1. All right. And it says the driver must drive the car alone and unaided. Now, who am I talking about? Okay. I am talking about Daniel Ricciardo. Who else did we have? We had Joe from Alfa Romeo and Carlos. We had Carlos, okay? So Carlos fined 25,000 euro for radio messages that pretty much impeded the flow of another driver, caused an unsafe condition, okay? And that is a little bit different than the other situation that we're going to get into. Alfa Romeo Joe fined 10,000 euro for a similar thing, impeding up on Max Verstappen, I believe on that. And then another thing is the drivers across six. So now this is a little bit not crazy, but evidently the money is coming out. Like, they're getting this money. Like, they're going to get this money out of these drivers. But it's like 6 or 7 drivers, okay? And I think this happened in Austria, all right, in the GP, where we had a bunch of debacle and shenanigans happen with harassment and racial slurs and all the other not good stuff. But basically, the radio messages, as you saw right there, the driver must drive unaided. And I'm wondering if those radio messages were giving or providing the drivers too much information on what they should be doing while they're on the track. But yeah, we're having an obscene amount of penalties and fines for radio messages, and that's what's happening right there. And hey, I mean, you even heard it at the last race, like they were talking about in midst of the race, and I was like, well, what the hell's going on? And yeah, come to find out, yeah, they're handing out 10,000, 25,000, going once, going twice, going, I'm about even going sold to that driver for a penalty, pay 10,000 euro. Like, that's not a lot to them, maybe, but I mean, who wants to pay 10,000 and you ain't getting shit out of it but a receipt saying that you paid your fine? That ain't shit. That's not what you want in your life. So the next thing we're going to get into is some of the upgrades. Now, remember, this is not an official list. We're just kind of going over some things that I saw. So first thing up is AlphaTauri, and I think you saw right there. What we got going on right here? It pisses me off. Yes. All right, that's McLaren, AlphaTauri. Right there, the engine cover. So I'm going to wait for the official list before I completely talk about this, but it does look different to me. It looks like they definitely have some breathing gills, some blowers right there that might be releasing hot air cooling ability for that situation. And then they may have some things that have been upgraded, if not on the side pod, maybe the fence area. And then McLaren looks like McLaren and Aston Martin are just very disappointing to me. I'm not even expecting them to do much. Like right now, I'm not anticipating that McLaren or Aston Martin, the constant copy car, are going to do much of anything. It's sad for me. I thought McLaren would do better, but it looks like they may have some type of floor upgrade. We will get into that once I get the list. And then here's multiple things going on right here as we have different rear wing setups, drag, low drag, all this other good stuff. And again, Haas is revising their front wing end plate with this swoop right here. Before it was a little hump that also went there, and it looks like McLaren might be doing something there with their rear wing. So those are some of the things that are going on, and we have a lot of other stuff to look forward to as this week develops. And I do have some special announcements coming this week as far as what the Wolfpack fam is doing. I have selected something for us to do that definitely is a good thing, and I will have that information for you come quali and the finale lap. Also, you see we got our bottle right here. I don't know if we're going to pop it this week, but I got it on deck and it is ready. And yeah, just come back here live. Today, we're going to have the quali lap, quali watch, see what happens at qualifying. That's always going to be fun. Give us some kind of idea where these cars are. Upgrades are there, but I know we're going to see a considerable amount of upgrades in the next few weeks, and I'm really excited about that. And also come back here live for finale lap. Post the race. If you like, join the channel. There are a lot of new things developing for the members here. Members get to pick these bottles. Members get access to certain posts that I put up. Members also are going to have access to what they have decided to call the Wolf's Den. And that is going to be a private group that will have access to not only me visually and verbally, so we can have debates and discussion and questions, but also they will have access to the guests that you all see on YouTube where you don't get to ask questions. They will actually be able to ask their actual questions to the guests and have them answered right there on the spot. Those are things that I'm working on to develop this channel, to develop our community, to just build something where we can all come together more and unify and have and exchange ideas, okay? I'm not going to tell you who the first guest is going to be. I know you'll like it. I know you'll appreciate it because you often do, all right? So just build it. Be safe. Peace. Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.